In our times of discomfort, we're squeezed up to do different things. And like Sandra, when I was squeezed up and the wolves were really at the door, I made a video with Paul Mackenzie that went viral. But I understood it's not about asking for something. You've got to give to receive. Because the most important thing that we don't observe is the reciprocity, the spiritual reciprocity. Everything in business isn't 100% about money. I know how many of my brothers in here, and I say brothers, I share with my sisters as well, but it's been mainly my brothers. I freely share my network. My network become more powerful by being my brothers because I share them, every single one of them. And our community lions, what little I have, I can share with them. So when you understand the power of sharing, we speak it. And it's like the story of, if I win $1 million, I give you 500 grand. For real. So if you have 250 grand, how much would you give me? 125. Yeah. If you had 10 grand, how much would you give me? 5 grand. Where you going your world on? Because it's real. So how many of us share all of our contacts? If you see a mentee, share them with a mentor. Now, for us in this room, not everybody's at a junior level. Some people are at a mid-level and they don't understand how to break through to the senior level. So you introduce a mid-level to a senior level with no selfishness. The worst thing that's going to happen is 2 people going to go in a room and have a good conversation about you. But spiritually, what that does, with the compound effect, by the time you lose count of how many times you've done that, do you know how your name carry? You can never, ever fall. So one of the worst things for me in terms of free marketing, we talk about social media. So I never let anybody see me sweating, but I'm going to let you into one of my hardships now. And it happens frequently nowadays. And it's something we could take for granted. So because I know you're all sick and tired of hearing black problems, I want to give you a white problem. I get banned from Facebook, which is free marketing. And I share that because I want you to have white problems. But I want you to understand now what it squeezed me up to do. Because I sit there with extra finger time now. So what can I do? Because I'm promoting my business on Facebook. I set up Google reviews because of white problems. And my Google reviews is 4.9 stars, and there's hundreds of them. You would think I take people's phone or go in their yard or hack them and do the review myself. But white people will come on a train from Kent in a wedding party based on that. Now, unlike what we do on LinkedIn, I don't hide my face. The only thing I hide is the little white man in the business. So the white people come down to a shop where they've only seen black faces online and spend their money. The power of referral, Google reviews. It costs me no money. It costs me my time. And I never get banned because I don't have nothing bad to say on Google reviews. And I mention it for a reason, in that we still have a stigma and a shame about who we are when it comes to making money. Because we think a professional business, look, 2 things in a business: buy for £1, sell for 2, don't make nobody see you sweating, and work as hard as you need to make it work. That is it. If you're making money, it's a professional business. If you're surrounded by this here, for some people in their week, is a blessing to come in a room and just feel Africa. But my brothers at the back, this is all I do. All day. The only Europeans I see are coming to spend money. What I do in terms of business, all day, and my brothers and sisters, is this. All day, every day, every room I go into to create entities with sweat equity, to link people together. Every single room looks like this, and I can't fall, and nobody's trying to marginalize me, and there's no such thing as racism. So when you're on LinkedIn, you might not realize, you might send me a friend request and your face isn't on it. And I'm looking really hard and I'm trying to figure out the surname, and any little puzzle, you know what I press? No. And I have 4,000 contacts. And I am me. And I contact them to get a peer education, because we spoke about something, a continual lifelong education is great. But you don't have to give up your job and go to university. And you don't have to exclusively consume YouTube. You have a huge peer base that is so powerful. And we are at the forefront of every single industry: education, finance, retail, IT. But if you weren't curious about us, you would never endeavor to find out. How rich is your network that can save you? How many people can you put together in a room to raise money? You see, one of my things is I grew up poor. So my pride, as Iola will tell you, is through the ceiling. I don't like to ask people for anything. And most of the people in here that know me know that still remains a problem, in that I can't ask for anything. But what I know is the value of the network that I've built, that is us, in too many areas to mention. So one thing I will say is take advantage of this room before you go. Don't be shy. Don't be wallflowers. You paid your money and you're in a money network in this room. Don't take that for granted. I say one thing that I mentioned, white problems. Don't ever become English. There's far too much that we take for granted. And there are people who will tell you, I won't go into rooms like this. And I'll tell you this, by this time next year, when they really know what English people are about after Brexit, they're going to be begging for rooms like this. So, one of the things I spoke on earlier was sweat equity, which is one of my hobbies. I love people, just in recognizing their expertise. And one thing I recognize immediately when somebody's got the magic eye: don't waste time. Don't second guess. Your biggest due diligence is your spirit, your intuition. If it don't take, don't chase time and money. And it's not a bad thing if they go off to earn £1 million. It may not have been for you. Your intuition is powerful. That thing that it tells you about people, you're very rarely wrong. But sweat equity will allow you to build a business with £1,000 and £1 million worth of expertise, where there are no skills or knowledge gaps. You can't all have and not have the same skill. I know what my skills are. I know what my skills deficits are. One of my brothers in the corner, he got skills and character traits that I do not have or require, because we don't stop. Identify them. And when you find them, hang on to them. And anything you have within your resource that you can enable your network with, do it. Don't be there giving to get, because it's going to come. This is why I say be around those of a similar ilk and pay it forward. The most powerful thing you can do is be in a room full of those of a similar ilk. All the fear goes out of the window. All fear. I'm in the middle of so many entities at the moment with brothers I put together where I would have to worry for my commission. I have no fear. I'm not doing one piece of work, and I don't need to speak about it, because those brothers are doing what they're doing, and I'm safe knowing they're all of a similar ilk and what they've put together. And these things aren't for here. They're for the continent. Because we're missing a trick of what our intellectual capital and experience is here. there's a system that gives you money that has perfectly figured out how to take most of that money that you earn. And then there are opportunities on the continent where you're the special people. You're not ethnic minorities. And you have so much expertise, but we're not looking at emerging markets. Everybody else is looking at emerging markets. And I'm not necessarily talking about going back to Africa. Because you're online, for instance, if you were creating a TV network and you said, right, I want an African country, I want someone who's really honed down their culture and religious with their culture, and you looked at the Nigerian diaspora, do you know how much that is worth in terms of the eyeballs and then the advertising? The advertising agencies can't reach them because they don't have the language, but you have it. The point I'm making is, don't look for businesses that look so far away. Start with what you have in front of you today. Here is a teacher who got tired of the school and set up an educational business. He took his intellectual capital, he took a risk, he invested in himself, and he paid it forward. I will be one of his clients. In fact, I recommend this gentleman. He is a GCSE teacher, English, maths, and sciences. So when you understand the nature of our community and the perceived dearth of talents, they aren't. Identify them, bring them into your network, and you can compete with anybody. Now, as Paul said, he can be a little acidic. If Paul chooses to grow his business and give up a stake to a programmer, he has no more wages to pay. And they have their stake in that entity. And then you've got the intellectual capital of somebody who's an expert, so nobody can pull the wool over your eyes. And now who does the hiring? Does Paul do the hiring? Or does the programmer do the hiring? This is it. There's so many things that we take for granted. And every single day, if I have a challenge, I take this out of my pocket and I guarantee you there's somebody in there. And I'll tell you what I do. When guys come down to my shop, when I'm serving them and we're having conversation, because men don't have time. And we want to talk. And we want to talk to men of a similar ilk, because the world has gone so far in an untraditional way with alternative lifestyle and that kind of thing, that sometimes we just like to identify each other. And I'm not saying that all the brothers in the room have to be of the boom bye-bye generation, but we like to talk. So I ask a very simple question. What do you do if you don't mind me asking? And then we start a long conversation about what their actual career is, what they do 8 hours a day, every single day, and get paid for. And then we swap numbers, and my network grows. And then within a month or so, I will send them somebody. I'll phone them. I know this guy, he's in your field. I'm going to give him your number, and I'm going to give you his number. And you two are going to do something sexy together. I know, because I know both of you. And they do. I just connect them. But for me, the value is in here, because every time I have a challenge, I make a phone call. You see, where people have stress in business and you think the wolves are at the door, that's when you should be honing your problem-solving skills. The difference between an entrepreneur and an employee is, no matter how dark it gets, you're constantly using your calculator. The terabytes in your cerebellum, mathematics, solving problems. So when other people are stressed, it's because they're just waiting. They're waiting for the wolves to come, for the bailiffs. That's what my 20s was for. You don't do that when you're 25 plus VAT. Because it's insanity. So you increase your problem-solving skills on a daily basis by putting yourself out of your comfort zone. And when you utilize that time that other people are giving themselves cancer cells, stressing themselves, you're just doing maths and utilizing your network to pull you out of a hole. So when I hold up this device that we get lost in, that we live in, biggest thing I can suggest is that you grow your networks, grow your problem-solving skills, and shorten your skills and knowledge gaps via using that network.